Yo, this is a motherfucker who needs no introduction. You are watching Breaking Records Radio.
Alright, so you are now tuned in to Breaking Records Radio. My name is Alex Kuchma, and today's guest is one of the dopest up-and-coming MCs, period. From being featured on Conway the Machine's latest From a King to a God, to being signed to Drumwork Music Group, Conway's label. I'm now talking, of course, about Jae Skeese. The artist out of Buffalo, New York, recently dropped his album, Ashfall Calligraphy, in September of 2020. It's absolutely excellent. You can find it now on Bandcamp as well as on streaming services. That being said, what's good, my man?
What's going on with you, man? I'm feeling good. I'm blessed, man. How you feeling?
That's fantastic. I'm doing good on my end as well. I can't thank you enough for taking the time out to speak to me here today, and for having this conversation. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely, man. Me too, man. I definitely, you know what I'm saying, it's been a busy day, you know what I mean? But I've definitely been looking forward to it all day, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm ready to chop it up.
100%. So I want to talk about your kind of current career and what's going on and what you have coming up next as well, but I wanted to kind of situate the audience with a little bit of history and kind of figure out exactly who you are. So just kind of starting from the beginning, I know you represent Buffalo, but did you grow up in Buffalo?
Yeah, I grew up on the east side of Buffalo. I'm born and raised here in Buffalo, but, you know, from the time I was about 9 years old, I grew up on the east side of Buffalo.
Gotcha. And at what point did you start getting introduced to, I guess, hip-hop culture? Not even necessarily injecting yourself into it as an MC or as a producer, but just from a fan's perspective, when did you kind of familiarize yourself with the culture?
I mean, I got to say it was probably around that same time, especially like where I grew up at. I mean, obviously I was on the east side, so, you know, you hear the music, you know what I'm saying, playing for different cars. And, you know, there was actually a music store that was actually right around the corner from me that I used to go and shop at frequently. And really what introduced me to hip hop was just listening to the radio. We got a local radio station that, you know, kind of focuses on urban music, 93.7. And I used to be on there, man, like every day listening to the different hip hop shows and just, you know, dubbing different songs on cassettes and different things like that. So that's kind of how I got, you know, really introduced to it.
Gotcha. Based off the fact that you mentioned cassettes, I imagine you're talking about kind of like mid to late 90s, maybe early 2000s?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, around 99, maybe 2000, 2001, like right around that time.
Gotcha. So when did things, I guess, start taking a little bit seriously and you start writing or recording anything? I know some of your earliest projects, at least from what I can see, came out around the turn of the last decade, I guess, 2010, 2011 or so. But when did you start, I guess, trying to take it a little bit more seriously and know that this is something you wanted to do?
And I think what really kind of turned that corner for me was when I dropped it was my first solo mixtape. It was called Whack. It was called Women, Alcohol, Cash, and Kicks. When that came out, that was 2010. It was September 15th, actually, 2010. And when that dropped, you know, the response that I got from it and, you know, just the overall, just the way it was received from, you know, some people locally and, you know, going out of town and doing shows and, you know, people, you know, getting hip to the project, that was like really what really showed me like, okay, this is something that I can maybe take serious and maybe have a career in. But I started really like, you know, I learned how to pen my bars and, you know, how to come up with content. I was probably 12 years old around that time. And I had a best friend who lived right across the street from me. Him and his cousin, they had some uncles who were actually MCs and they had a group, and his one uncle had a studio. And they always aspired to go to that studio and go record and become a group themselves. And so being around them pretty much every day, that inspired me to go ahead and, you know, figure out how to write my bars and, you know, how to MC myself.
So did you have access to that studio when you were growing up?
I did. And that came after, you know, practicing and just writing bars and just, you know, again, just honing my craft and sharpening my blade and, you know, actually meeting his uncle and, you know, kind of performing for them and letting them know that we were serious. But we got access to the studio after a while, but it took, you know, a little bit of time for them to know that we were actually serious about our craft.
Right now she on an elevator. I'm not trying to waste your time or give you all of mine. I just wanna vibe with your vibes. I don't wanna keep your heart, but I can tell you where to start. I just wanna vibe with your vibe, with your vibe. I don't need to know your name or the places that you've been. I just wanna vibe with your vibe, with your vibe. I don't need to hear about your mistakes or the times you ended at his place. Just wanna vibe in my past that I wouldn't care to reenact. Broke some hearts that I can't take back. I wasn't